Hey guys, Mr. Mike here. So this is the last story I'll be reading for you this week, and it is called "Update on Penguin Rescue Efforts from Oil Spill in the South Atlantic." Now, before we read, just like the last couple days, and as you've been doing for every single story that we read, I want you to take 20 seconds to identify the genre. Now, keep in mind all the things that we've talked about. Look for those key text features for fiction versus nonfiction. Use those to help you identify what genre you think it is. So take the next 20 seconds to go ahead and do that. So you should have identified that this was nonfiction. And the way that I knew it was nonfiction was because right off the bat, I see a date in the second paragraph. I also see names of actual real ships that have cruised in the oceans. I see, as I scroll down to the bottom, there's a visual that shows me what an actual penguin pool looks like. So I know those are all accurate things, those are all real things, so that's how I knew that this was a nonfiction genre. Now, because it's nonfiction, we have three genre-based thinking jobs. And that was, what is the big topic, or the main idea? What is the text teaching me? And what was my author's point of view while writing this story? So, make sure that you're taking notes on a scrap sheet of paper to answer those genre-based thinking jobs at the end. And remember, we got to fold our paper just because we want you practicing that even though we're not in class. Still want you to get in the habit of folding that when you get ready to read a text. So once you have it labeled, remember you want title, TTPOV, notes at the bottom. I'm going to read the story now, and I have several stopping points where I'm going to be asking a question. Keep in mind, think about those questions when you're taking your notes. And just remember, keep a steady amount of notes as you're going through. You don't want to have a whole page of notes, but you want to have good detailed information that goes with the story, because you don't want to have to keep looking through whenever you're going back, answering questions, writing a main idea, doing that stuff. You want to be able to have taken good enough notes and have your genre-based thinking jobs laid out well enough to make your job easier. So, update on penguin rescue efforts from oil spill in South Atlantic. This is a follow-up to an earlier diary about the threat posed by oil spilled by a freighter that broke up off Nightingale Island, home to approximately half of the world's endangered northern rockhopper penguin population. Here's a brief recap of key events. On March 16th, for reasons no one has been able to determine, a fully loaded freighter containing soybeans slammed into the rocks off Nightingale Island in the Tristan da Cunha Archipelago, a World Heritage Site in the South Atlantic. The freighter broke in half and sank, dumping at least 1,500 tons of fuel oil in the seas, which formed a heavy oil slick around the island, threatening marine life. The penguins attracted the most attention as they are critically endangered. Because of their remote location, it took wildlife rescue teams nearly a week to reach the island by boat and set up operations. Wildlife biologists estimate that half of the 20,000 penguin colony had some exposure to the oil, and over 300 oiled penguins have already died. So I want you thinking about what is the most important idea about our big topic in this paragraph section. What have they done to set you up to understand what is the topic of this paper? Thanks to outreach and updates by marine biologist David Guggenheim, the difficult wildlife rescue operation is starting to get broader attention by NGOs and the media. CNN has finally covered the story. Shortly after the freighter ran aground, the cruise ship Prince Albert and fishing vessel Edinburgh responded to the distress signal and assisted in the difficult task of evacuating the 22 crew members of the MS Olivia Valletta. before it broke apart and sank. A rescue team from the Prince Albert used small pontoon vessels to reach the stricken ship, navigating rough seas and rocks in the process. The crew members were brought to the Edinburgh, which was small enough to dock on the island. The residents of the island and the wildlife rescue teams have been working around the clock to save the penguins and other marine animals affected by the oil. There are 4 major tasks required to save the penguin colony and other affected wildlife. So right now, what can you learn about the author's point of view from that section we just read? Locate and retrieve oiled animals. This means using small boats in heavy seas to find the animals in the water, on rocks, and in remote coves. While plucking the penguins from the water is relatively easy, getting to the animals on sea-splashed and oil-covered rocks is quite another matter. At last report, over 3,000 oiled penguins have been rescued, along with seabirds and seals. Step 2. Treat the affected animals as quickly as possible to reduce ingestion of oil. This requires washing the feathers with detergent to remove oil and then coaxing them to drink fluids, vitamins, and charcoal to absorb ingested oil. It is a labor of love that means working every waking hour for the residents and several dozen wildlife rescue specialists. Once treated, the less severely affected penguins are taken to the island swimming pool, which has been emptied, partially filled with fresh water, and cleaned frequently. The more severely affected penguins and other seabirds are being taken to warehouses and specially built sheds. These animals require more care and observation. They also must be kept warm with heaters and infrared bulbs to prevent pneumonia. The freighter crew has been spending their time building the pens and rehabilitation sheds. Step 3. Pen and house the rest of the colony to prevent exposure to oil. While molting season ended, the penguin's instinct is to head for the seas to forage for food. Step 4. The entire colony of 20,000 penguins. Gotta feed them. A large fishing vessel has been working continuously since the crisis began to fish for the penguins. The seas have been particularly rough, and island residents have emptied their freezers to feed the birds. By the way, fishing is the primary occupation among residents. When they donate their contents to their freezers, they are emptying their own larders and wallets. Now, with all of that, I want you to think about the visual of the penguin pool and think about the point of view of the author. Why did the author put that in the steps? What were they trying to get you to understand by putting that in there? So now that we've finished the story, think about what the main idea was. Think about all your different genre-based thinking jobs. Complete those, then go ahead and answer your multiple choice questions and your extended race response at the end. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next week.